Alright, folks, greetings to all, probably 12 of you, that are watching this, the third period of the first episode of the Power Play. Alright, folks, this is the doozy. This one is apparently so unbelievably wretched, it should have never been released to begin with. This one received a 3.5 out of 10 from GameSpot, and an absolutely horrible 2.5 out of 10 from IGN. Oh boy, this is going to be fun. Alright, this one was released by Spark Unlimited, who also released another atom bomb of a game called Turning Point Fall of Liberty. Apparently that one was really horrible too. I've never played it, so I don't know. But the game I'm going to be talking about today was the one that really put Spark Unlimited on the map, and not in a good way. Apparently, this game is absolutely wretched, apparently. And, well, there's not really much else I can say that can cover the horrible things that they've said about this, so I'm going to get into it right now. I'm talking, of course, about the Xbox 360 game, Legend. Okay, I couldn't find the game new anywhere, so let's just get into it. The Xbox 360's Legendary. Okay, folks, let's break it down. In Legendary, you play the role of Charles Deckard, a master thief who's been hired by a man named LaFay to recover an ancient artifact from the American Museum of Natural History in New York. Only to find out upon arrival that this ancient artifact is, in fact, Pandora's box. And Deckard, being the super genius that he is, decides to stick his hand in the thing, gets stabbed in the hand, and is promptly imbued with the Signet, which is this weird little mark thing on his hand that can absorb what's called animus energy from the monsters that are now appearing at random throughout the city and killing everything.
Monsters?
Well, as it turns out, Pandora's box does not, in fact, hold all the evils of the world like it did in the mythology, but instead it turns out it holds all the mythological creatures that we supposed did not exist. Speaking of which, that was one of the complaints that was listed by the major commercial reviewers. The complaint that the monster choice just seemed too thrown together. Like a variety of different enemies is all of a sudden a problem now. Well, just for giggles, let's go through the monster roll call. Okay, we've got griffins that look more like vultures than eagles. We've got werewolves that you can only kill by way of decapitation in two different varieties. You've got your skinnier Lemos werewolves, those look like a giant mutated naked mole rat. Not that I'm complaining, because, let's face it, you're not going to be worrying too much about the cosmetics when this thing is trying to claw your face off. And then you've got the much bigger and much meaner alpha version, which honestly looks like a pretty legit werewolf. Also, you've got fire drakes, which is the only enemy in the game that I think I really have a problem with the design for. I mean, look at this thing. It looks like a mutated toad. Then, of course, you've got the Nari. Let me explain something to you guys about the Nari. I hate these things. I hate the developer who made these things. They are, without a doubt, one of the most annoying enemies I have ever run into in a game. Seriously, it gets so obnoxious with these things. I mean, first of all, if they can turn intangible, which basically means you can't hurt them until you hit them with an animus pulse, and even then it doesn't last long enough that you can get the little buggers in your sights enough to hit them in the face. I digress. Moving on. Anyway, we've also got the Echidna tentacles, which may or may not be attached to the biggest enemy in the entire game. Don't know yet. We've also got the Golems, which are... Holy crap.
That is large.
Yeah. Considerably. Wait, it's not gonna... And that's one of the things I enjoyed most about playing Legendary, is that the scale and the sheer amount of activity that's going on throughout the environment is ridiculous. Like I said, you have all kinds of creatures interacting with the environment, as well as several other environmental events that are just crazy. I mean, the amount of detail that went into this is awesome. The attention to detail in the environment is spectacular. It really feels like a world thrown into chaos, being attacked by monsters that nobody thought existed. It really feels like you're in a disaster movie. It's fantastic. But the game isn't without its problems. For example, the difficulty curve is nuts. Literally, this game can go from insultingly easy 1 second to ball-busting, controller-smashingly hard in a matter of seconds. The key to this game is preparation. You really need to be ready for anything, because the difficulty curve is so ridiculous. It jumps up and down all across the entirety of the game. As well as that, there are some issues with clipping. I have seen multiple times half of a werewolf's body disappear into a wall somewhere. It happens fairly commonly, so it does prove to be both entertaining and slightly perturbing.
Aren't you going to tell him about the jumping?
Oh, yeah. And, by the way, Charles Decker brings a whole new definition of the term white boys can't jump, because he can literally jump probably 2, maybe 3 inches off the ground. It's kind of sad, really.
He's not kidding. Look at this. I've seen turtles jump higher.
So, wrapping up with this review, we asked the question, did Legendary deserve the terrible scores it received? Absolutely not. This game is really very, very good. Although it does have its issues and sometimes can be overly frustrating with the difficulty level, it's still a very fun and enjoyable game. Not to mention the multiplayer also added elements from the single-player campaign, as in the multiplayer, when you're doing your normal deathmatch stuff, there are werewolves roaming about. Oh yeah, definitely keeps things interesting. So overall, for a score out of 10, I'm going to give Legendary, I'd say a 7.5. It's a good game, but but like I said, the difficulty curve, jumping around all over the place, does hold it back some, as well as Deckard's pathetic excuse for jumping, which can prove to be a major problem when you're trying to vault over obstacles. Even though for some reason he can only jump 2 inches off the ground, he can clear a 30-foot gap with no problem. I don't even understand it at all. So, with that being said, that brings the conclusion to the very first episode of the Power Play. I guess we'll see you guys around. I'm the Wolfman.
And I'm Alpha.
And until next time, the Power Play is over. We're back at even strength. Ciao.